Artemis, rhyme, reading comics, toys are hella sick, hella whacking it, taking bad hits, taking bad shit, it's Artemis, subscribe, for
Card here for Scoria or Snarl anyway.
What's up, you guys? Artemis Prime here doing another SH MonsterArts figure review on the SH MonsterArts Alien Big Chap. Gotta give a big thanks to Bandai, Tamashii Nations, Bluefin for making this review possible. Check out the latest coming from Bluefin. Link in the description to their Facebook below. Check them out. And if you're trying to get this figure, you know you can get a big. Get your big badass toys at BigBadToyStore.com. Click the link in the description below.
Very cool packaging over here. You can see the Big Chap right there in the window box. We get the alien egg right over there. SH MonsterArts, alien right on the side, Bandai 20th Century Fox, and then here's a side picture right over there. A little description of what SH MonsterArts is all about. Then on the back of the packaging, we get different poses for Big Chap right there. Molding, movable. And then on the top says SH MonsterArts Big Chap. Really cool packaging. I really like this green look going on mixed in here and very matted. Very cool. Anyway, let's get to it and crack this thing open. So here's Big Chap out of the packaging, the original alien from the 1979 movie, and this figure looks awesome. I do have a couple of little gripes with it. For instance, the tail gets kind of droopy, but for the most part, I think this is a very cool figure, and the details involved are amazing, and he's very well articulated too. So let's get 360 of Big Chap over here. Yeah, looking around at the alien. Yeah, pretty cool. So he does come with some accessories. Let's take a look at those, and then we'll take a closer look at the figure. So the figure comes with two sets of interchangeable hands, and you have these flat posed hands right here, and he has 6 fingers, which looks great. I like the silver paint applications, and the details on these are just very impressive. I really like that a lot. Look at the nails, very sharp. Well, he's got 6 fingers. That's awesome. Very cool. Look at that, even the inside of the palm and everything. That's great. And then these hands right here are posed with a little bit of a curve in the fingers, so you can see the differences right there. It's very nice. I'm really impressed by the details here. Now, putting the hands on can be a little bit tricky. There's this little piece right here that you want to make sure is lined up with the lines going on the back of his forearm. So you want to make sure the lines are going that way, and then you can put the hand on like so, and there it goes. You can just hear it clip on. And he also comes with this display base right over here. Typical thing for SH Figuarts stands, where you could pop this out right here so you could change where you want the stand to be placed, or the actual flight stand part of it. This is very cool. I like all the green splatter over here. It says Alien Big Chap, and then you get this standard flight stand right over here that rotates at the bottom. You get a joint right there, joint up here, and rotation right here along with the clamping action. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I like these stands. So here's a close look at Big Chap, and I really love the sculpt and paint on this figure. It just looks magnificent, especially everything underneath right over here. I didn't originally remember this being here with the skull and everything, but I went back to, I actually rented the movie to rewatch it, and yeah, he definitely has a skull over there. I just didn't remember him having that humanoid kind of looking skull underneath that plate right there, but I think this looks really cool. I like how it has this this dark shading on the clear plastic coming around over here, and all the little details coming around here. Damn, that is very impressive. The teeth look great. Look at that, his mouth and everything. The eye sockets, they even have all these lines right there painted on his skull underneath the clear plastic. And he's looking at the back of his head, and we have to look at the top of the head too. This is just too awesome. I really dig that. Look at that. A lot of detail in there. Now, to get the little mouth outside of this mouth over here, he has jaw articulation, so that opens up, as you can clearly see. And getting this guy out is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world, and the instructions say that you're supposed to, shift it downward like this. But yeah, it's not so easy. And one thing that's helped me, and I don't recommend you do this because you might ruin the figure, is using the fingers from one of the interchangeable hands and trying to pick the little mouthpiece out like that. There it is. Alright, got it out and that. And while doing so, I accidentally detached the head, which can plug right back in, but you can see this is the track where the little mouth slides through. So when I put this back on here, I have to make sure that that can still happen when I want to put this mouth back inside. But this little guy right here has great sculpt and paint, man. I really like it a lot. Look at all the little silver paint applications right there on the teeth. It's kind of hard to see, but he's got his little teeth sculpted there with silver paint. Then there's some nice shading right here on this part right there. I think that's really cool. You can get a little loose over here, but it's not too hard to just balance it out and center it the way you want it to. And as we continue to look at the rest of the figure, I just still cannot help but admire the paint sculpt on this. I think it's wonderfully done. I really like the silver dry brushing on this. It almost feels like it's a custom. Of course, it's a production figure, but I just think they did a wonderful job on this. And there's this little piece right here I didn't mention earlier that is meant to bend backwards. So I think that's really cool. It's on a hinge, so the head can look up even more. I think that was really cool. Look at this. I really like that silver dry brushing right there. Looking down here past the rib cage and everything, all them little tubes sculpted right there. It just looks fantastical. I really like it a lot. Oh, look, those alien patas. Ooh. And for us foot lovers, Tamashii Nations made sure that the feet were all painted nicely and sculpted at the very bottom. So you can see the bottom of the toes, even the lines sculpted and the paint apps right there. Continue all the way through the bottom of the little tickly patas. Yeah. And here's a good look at the back of the figure. Alien butt. Yeah. And then the tail. Wow, I really like this tail a lot. It's very well articulated too, and I like the little spike right here. End of the tail came out looking great. It's all nice and pointy. Look at those silver dry brush strokes. Now as far as the articulation goes, it gets a little weird with the head articulation. I can't lie about that. It has a couple of sections right here, but you can make it look all the way down, and then bending this part back, as I mentioned earlier, you may want to shift it to the side. You can make them look up that much, and you do get some good rotation moving side to side, but of course he has these big shoulder blade pad things right over here that kind of hinder the articulation. So, and you also get some neck pivot right there as well. So it's not terrible. It's always kind of weird with alien figures because there's just so many parts involved with them. But anyway, his shoulders move outward. You can rotate them forward, and there's some rotation right here as well. And you can get a little bit of a armpit joint too. It's very subtle, but there's some armpit movement in there going back and forth. He also bends twice at the elbow, so that's a lot of good articulation. And then he can rotate side to side and move up and down on a hinge right there on the wrists. He has a nice diaphragm joint. It can, let's see, it can rotate side to side, and it can crunch very far forward and very far backwards. And he does have some nice diaphragm pivot, and he has a waist joint that moves side to side, so you get full rotation side to side at the waist, and you also get the pivot, and the waist crunches forward also. So you can get a full crunch out of this guy. I think that's very cool. And then he has some nice hip joints. They shift up and down, and then you can move them outward. Only that much, not as much as compared to some other figures, but you know, it's still not too bad. And then you can shift downward and move the leg all the way forward like that. And he also has an upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees. He has ankles that move down that much, even though it has this spike right here. It moves down a reasonable amount, moves up. A beautiful ankle pivot, rotates side to side, and he has a toe articulation too, which I love. Yeah, toe articulation, and he has toe pivot. Now, when you first open this figure out of packaging, the tail is detached, and I think I counted 18 different joints right here. So at first, it's every 2 vertebrae, and then when it gets to around here, it's every 3 vertebrae there's a joint. So I think that's pretty nice. This is very, very well articulated. The only thing is that it has a hard time staying up. Why can't it stay up? Oh, that's what she said. One thing I also want to mention about the body molding for this figure is that it is the most humanoid-looking alien I think I've ever seen, and it's supposed to. It's from the first movie, and it definitely looked like a person in a suit. Later on, it looks like the aliens developed much longer limbs and everything. So anyway, this figure does stand at a reasonable height. I want to say he's just over, it's close to 7 inches tall, under 7 inches tall. And here he is next to the Xenomorph Warrior alien from NECA Toys. I don't have the SH MonsterArts Xenomorph Warrior alien figure. I needed to get one of those, but yeah. So you can see the size differences over there. And aside from this guy being in a different scale, you can see like the limbs in proportion to the rest of the body are much more lankier on this guy than compared to this one. And here's Big Chap next to the Marvel Legends Big Time Letdown Spider-Man. So again, I gotta say I really like this figure a lot. I love the paint sculpt. Thoroughly impressed with the paint sculpt, and I really like the articulation too. I only have a couple of gripes with the figure, as I mentioned earlier. It's this mouth right here being kind of a pain in the butt to get out of there, but the tail kind of droops a little bit on me, but it's doing better like that, so it doesn't really bother me that much. Really dig the figure, and I don't see how you could pass on it if you're a huge fan of the Alien franchise, this being the first Alien Big Chap. Anyway, I hope you guys liked my video. Hit the like button if you did. Leave a comment here. Leave a comment at toynewseye.com to participate in the 50,000 subscribers contest. And do not forget to subscribe, you pinche hotomangs. Anyway, I don't know why I had to sing that again. It's not like you don't hear it enough. Alright, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Crispy.
And for us And for us foot lovers, Tamashii Nations made sure to make sure.